modern era of gaming, a lot of games have come out unfinished. And normally this would be a death sentence to these games. However, as the market has evolved and player patience has evolved, players are willing to wait and see if these games will make a comeback. And sometimes they do. Perfect examples of this are Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky, two games that at launch were disasters. But over time, with enough love and support from their developers and their fans, the games redeemed themselves. Today, we're not talking about those games. We're talking about a franchise that is near and dear to my heart. The franchise that got me into gaming in the first place and is the reason why I make YouTube videos to this day. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, grab whatever you need to do, and allow for me to explain the redemption of Halo Infinite. Starting from the beginning. Halo Infinite is announced. Halo fans around the world rejoice as they see Master Chief rocking his more traditional armor. And with the mixed reception of Halo 4 and 5, this game could finally be the true return to form for the Halo franchise. And it was expected to come out in 2020. So now, we just have to wait. Halo Infinite had its first showcase, and it was a bit of a mixed bag to say the least. In their initial showcase, we were introduced to the new campaign, which looked gorgeous. The graphics looked spectacular, and the Chief, oh my god. Everything looked great until fans noticed this.
What the hell is even that?
At the time, people just thought, this isn't the finished product, so we shouldn't have to worry, right? Right? They delayed the game. It was now coming out in 2021. COVID made everything harder, so it's understandable. Can't wait until 2021 to hop in. But first, let's hear a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Rocket Money. More recently in my life, I've done a lot of big purchases with my wife. We bought a house together, and we're also working on building a back house for my in-laws. So while making these big changes, I had to think about my finances. Thankfully, there's Rocket Money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. One of my favorite features is that you can cancel unwanted subscriptions. Thankfully, Rocket Money safely and securely finds recurring charges and cancels unwanted subscriptions for you with just a tap. And if you're like me who's really bad at budgeting, you can set up a budget. You can set these budgets to automatically monitor your spending and let you know if you're exceeding your budget. You even get these cool charts and visualizations of your budget. And on top of that, you get complete access to your credit score. And Rocket Money will alert you when important changes happen to your credit score, and will also offer insights on how to improve it. So if you want to be a little bit more financially secure, download Rocket Money today and unlock even more features with premium. Go to rocketmoney.com/themacroshow or click the link in the video description. Now, back to the video. It's announced that Halo Infinite is being delayed until the end of the year. But some good news, the multiplayer will be 100% free to play, with paid cosmetics, a system that players are used to these days, but never really done before with Halo. They also announced a demo for players to try as well, and many players, including myself, were beyond excited to give it a try. The gunplay felt great, and the maps were so cool. The weapons, the graphics, the music, it was all shaping up to be an incredible game. So as long as there's tons of maps and modes on launch, this game is going to be a smash hit. Halo Infinite released their multiplayer beta a month before the release of the full game. And the beta was great. It had a few maps. The cosmetics were kind of lacking, but we knew the final product on the official launch date would have so much more. The full game drops, and tens of millions of players give it a try. And with weak competition in the FPS marketplace, Halo Infinite was on top. However, although we were no longer in the beta, the multiplayer was identical to the beta. There was barely any content, few maps, no forge, no firefight, no progression system, and the cosmetics were overpriced, while also limiting in the customization options. The campaign, however, was pretty fun. It was an open world, but also pretty one note in terms of its aesthetic. You would either be in a grassy forest or in Forerunner architecture. And also one big problem was that there was no co-op. Was this always the final product? Why does it feel so empty? 343 explained that the game would be regularly updated as a live service, like Fortnite, Apex, and Warzone. It's nothing new, and a lot of these games started off a lot smaller in scope, and over time, they became the games that we know and love. So, okay then, if we just give it time, it will eventually become the game we all want it to be. But the problem was, that day just didn't seem to come. The first season was supposed to be 3 months long, but ended up being a full 6 months long. During this season, there were no significant updates. No new maps were added until Season 2. which also spanned 6 months. By the time the second season rolled around, the player base had fallen astronomically. Halo Infinite was essentially a dead game. The higher-ups at 343 at this point could have just cut their losses and pulled the plug. They could have just moved on to the next project. But for some reason, they didn't. They didn't give up on Halo. They would continue to develop Halo, but something had to change. The first big problem was the engine. Halo Infinite was built on the Slipspace engine, an engine only 343 uses, which would be fine, but throughout Infinite's development, they hired freelance developers that they would hire to develop some stuff and then let go. So there aren't enough people who know how to use the engine to fix many of their key issues. Issues like adding new maps, changing the UI, adding CrossCore. These could easily have been fixed on Unreal, but were overly and unnecessarily complicated due to Slipspace. So one of the big changes they made is they began to hire full-time developers and train them on the Slipspace engine to slowly start fixing Halo Infinite from the ground up. It would just have to take some time. And the next big problem, the higher-ups. This is Bonnie Ross. Her and the other higher-ups had a vision of Halo attracting a broader audience. And in trying to achieve this goal, they alienated fans and simultaneously failed at attracting any new audience at all. And this is pretty obvious with their train wreck of a TV series. She also made promises that were never delivered. She promised players that there would be couch co-op, but that was completely scrapped, disappointing many fans who just wanted to play with their friends in person. 343 desperately needed to restructure, and they began firing a lot of executives and higher-ups. Around this time, the game started to head towards the right direction. Co-op is finally added to Halo Infinite's campaign, and it's great. It's a bit late, but I guess better late than never. And finally, the biggest and most important change came in the form of Forge. With Forge, adding new content became a lot easier and faster. And most important of all, the fans could be the ones to do it. 343 would showcase and even add some new maps that they forged themselves, including a remake of The Pit. Fans were able to create racetracks, Call of Duty Zombies, some of the wackiest stuff that you've ever seen. It is the best Forge has ever been in the entire Halo franchise. Forge took a huge load off from 343, who could instead focus on improving every other aspect of the game as fast as possible. By the time Season 3 rolled around, the game had been out for over a year. But already we were seeing drastic improvements in the quality of the updates we were getting. In this season, we were introduced to a new weapon and a new equipment, showing that 343 was now willing to really tweak the sandbox. And while 343 was adding their own forged maps into the matchmaking playlists, they finally let fans shine in the community playlist. And while these maps were spectacular, this still really wasn't enough to bring people back to the game. It's 2 years since people got a chance to first playtest, and frankly, almost all players have uninstalled this game and moved on. Even the introduction of Infection just wasn't enough to entice people back. However, 343 added a playlist that would be their first big push: Squad Battle. 8v8s on classic maps from past Halo games created by talented forgers. It's a hit.
I'm actually gonna, as weird as it is, I'm jumping on Halo.
And big streamers are coming back to give this game a try, and some even stay. This game mode almost single-handedly breathes a bit of life back to the game. Around the same time, more and more maps created by fans were being added to official playlists, and the game felt more alive than ever. Around this time, 343 added a progression system. It doesn't really grant the user much at all, to be honest, but we know that they can build upon it. However, one other problem that still has not been addressed are the cosmetics. The cosmetics are tied to their individual cores, and thus fans were severely limited with how they can make their Spartan look, which is the opposite of every other Halo title. A lot of fans rightfully wanted CrossCore customization. And while we would receive some CrossCore elements like visors, it felt like it would never come. And while the cosmetic side may not seem like a big deal, if they're not selling skins and they're not making money, this free-to-play game is dead in the water. Season 5 is announced, and nobody can believe what they're seeing. CrossCore helmets. Firefight is finally coming back. There's AI in Forge. And also, progression actually has a point because there's a free reward for reaching the highest level in the form of Master Chief's armor. There's new maps, there's new modes, all of this packaged in a season that is only 4 months long. With CrossCore helmets, the customization options have skyrocketed. Spartans look drippier than ever. And CrossCore helmets is just the beginning, as 343 said that they plan on making as many things CrossCore as possible. The drip has finally broke free from its shackles. We look so cool. And now there's so many ways to play this game. Do you like playing against a lot of people? There's Big Team Battle. You like competitive? Ranked is right there. There's doubles for you and your bestie. Tactical Slayer for the CS fans. Infection, Free-for-all, Fiesta, Husky Raid. However you want to play the game, it's all there for you. With tons and tons and tons of maps, both dev-made and maps made by talented forgers. A couple days later, a new Halo 3 playlist has been announced. This will include remakes and reimaginings of classic Halo 3 maps, which look and play fantastic. With the introduction of AI, forgers have already made a fully playable and functioning battle royale. A battle royale that has procedurally generated terrain. That's how powerful Forge has become. There's perks. There's even a gulag. Seriously, you have to try this battle royale mode. It's insanely well made. It boggles my mind that this was made in Forge.
Killing frenzy. Victory.
With Forge, the amount of creations and ideas are infinite. You see what I did there? And they now even allow for you to gain experience playing custom games. On the Steam charts, Halo Infinite is seeing numbers it has not seen in a long time. The game feels fantastic right now. However, it's still not perfect, but it's getting there. One of the big issues now is that there's a lot of maps. The amount of maps isn't the issue, but being unable to vote for maps, which is something that existed in every other Halo game, including the Master Chief Collection. I think if we just use the same voting system that existed previously, this could solve this issue. Otherwise, you're at the will of the game, and sometimes, especially in ranked, you'll play the same map multiple times in a row. The customs browser, which is now full of custom games, is still a mess. It's very buggy and glitchy, and it can take a while to even get into a game without completely crashing. Desync and matchmaking is still an issue that makes the game a bit frustrating at times, and while CrossCore is great and eventually coming, 343, you can't go back and increase the prices of cosmetics. The prices were finally getting to a point where they were fair, but now they're back to their Season 1 overpriced selves. Even the old cosmetics that you can go back and buy, they up the prices for. Not cool. And besides the final award being Master Chief's armor, there really is no other sense of progression outside the battle pass. Leveling up gets you emblems, and that's it. We need some type of incentive and reward for playing this game. Old Halo titles did it really well. You're not reinventing the wheel here. And this is less of a criticism and more of a suggestion, but I really do think that after seeing how good the custom games version of a battle royale is, that a Halo battle royale is kind of awesome. And if you guys aren't still working on it, please continue. If you are one of the millions of players who played Halo Infinite years ago when it first came out, but uninstalled and moved on, consider re-downloading it and giving it another try. Who knows? You might end up having more fun than you thought. And maybe you just might stay. I genuinely believe that Halo Infinite could go down in history as one of, if not the best Halo game ever made. The gameplay was never the issue. It was everything else that surrounded the game. And we're getting closer and closer to the best version of this game. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.